So, how do we work on ear training just by listening to music? How do we get better at listening to music and figuring out what's going on in music? That's what this video is going to be about. Hey, I'm Schanno Johnson. If you don't know me, I'm a musician, composer, producer, and I make videos about all that fun stuff: music composition, music production. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to see videos like this in the future. So we're talking about how we can get better at listening to music and ear training just by listening to music. I like to think of it as how to get better at ear training in the car, or how to practice ear training while in the car. Like if you go on a long road trip and you want to work on ear training, how can you do that while on that road trip, right? You don't have an instrument, you don't have any sheet music in front of you, you just have the music that you're listening to in that car. How do you get better at it? That's what we're going to talk about. So I have 4 tips for you that we're going to go through to get you better at ear training. First thing, pick out different instruments. What instruments are being used in the song? How do they interact? Is there a guitar? Is it an acoustic guitar or is it an electric guitar? If it's an electric guitar, is it clean or does it have distortion? If it has distortion or if it's clean, does it have chorus? Does it have phaser? Does it have reverb on it? All of these things are things you can think about while you're just listening to music. Think about the bass. Is there a bass guitar or is there a double bass, an upright bass? Or is there a synth bass? Is there a drum set? Or is it an acoustic drum set? Or is it a synth drum set? Is it electronic drums? Or is it orchestral drums, orchestral percussion? All stuff you could figure out while in the car. Is there a piano? Is there a synth? Is there a violin or clarinet or flute or whatever you have? Often you'll have something like that. You'll have some type of chordal instrument and some type of bass instrument and some type of percussion instrument. But see if you can figure out really what those are and identify them specifically as certain instruments. Next thing, what meter is it in? And what is the rhythm doing? Does the meter change? How many beats are there in a measure? Do you have 3 beats in a measure, 4 beats in a measure, 5, 6, 7? How many beats do you have in a measure? How is the meter divided up? How are the rhythms divided up? How are the strong and weak beats divided up? Is it in 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, 7/4, 7/8, 5/8, 5/4, 4/4? All of these things are things that you can try and figure out while you're just listening to music in whatever setting you're listening to music in. You can also try and pay attention to how are those rhythms organized within that meter. Does it have a really heavy downbeat or are the upbeats accented a lot of the time? Does it have syncopation where you're playing with upbeats and downbeats, accenting the upbeats, or is it pretty heavy on the downbeat? Next thing, what's the harmony like? This one can be a little hard, especially if you haven't ever studied music, but is it functional harmony or is it atonal? Or is it non-functional harmony, but it's not quite atonal? Is it tertian harmony using triads, chords built in thirds or seventh chords? Are there any extended chords? Try and figure out if you can hear whether that's the case. Try and figure out how the chords are being built. Are the chords built in thirds, tertian harmony, or are they built in fourths, quartal harmony? Or are they built in fifths, like quintal harmony? Or are they built in seconds, like secundal harmony? All things that you can figure out. Some of them less common than others, right? Chords built in seconds, fourths, and fifths are less common than tertian harmony, chords built in thirds, but try and figure that out while you're listening to the music. Something else that you can do if you want to take that to the next level is, can you figure out what Roman numerals the chords are? So is it a 1-4-5? Is it a 2-5-1? Is it a 1-6-2-5? Is it a 1-5-6-4? Whatever the harmony is, try and figure out what specifically is going on in that harmony as you're listening to the song. Is it diatonic harmony and you can understand them all within one scale? Or are there chords outside of the scale? All different things that you can learn, that you can figure out for a song just while you're listening to it. It might take a lot of listening and it might take repeated listening, but it's something that you can work on to get better at hearing more in depth and hearing and understanding what's going on in the piece of music more, rather than just listening to it and letting it wash over you. Next thing, sing along with different instruments. Now, this one is less specifically ear training to figure out like analysis of a song, but more to just understand more deeply what's going on in the song. So mainly I try and do this with the bass line. Sing along with the bass line in the song. Where is it going? Honestly, this will help you figure out Roman numerals of a song, or figure out what the chords are of a song, because then you'll be able to more deeply understand what the bass line is doing. And often the bass line's playing root notes or chord tones, so the bass is really important for the chords. So as you're listening to the song, try and hum along to what the different instruments are. You could start with the bass line if you want to. That's where I like to start, because the melody is a little easier to do. Then try and hum along to maybe a harmony part in the vocals. Or if there's a guitar riff, try and hum along to the guitar riff. Try and hum along to the violin line or the viola line or the flute line if you're listening to something with those instruments in it. If you have a synth line in the middle, try and hum along to that. Just try and more deeply listen to what these pieces are, so that you can absorb them and really figure out what's going on in that song that you're listening to. So those are my tips for how to practice ear training in a car, or how to get better at ear training just from listening. I hope you enjoyed them. Again, it's pick out different instruments. What meter is it? What are the harmonies like? And sing along with the different instruments. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you learned some about music. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.